After months of calm, residents of Tel Aviv were in a panic as air raid sirens went off. Hamas had fired a barrage of rockets from Gaza, which set off the air raid sirens as far away as the Israeli capital. The last time that Hamas had carried out a long-range rocket attack from Gaza was back in January. And while it did bring back memories of the deadly surprise attack that Hamas had carried out on Israel on the 7th of October in 2023, it also demonstrated the group's resilience, even after nearly 8 months of relentless Israeli bombings and ground attacks in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military said 8 projectiles crossed into Israel after being launched from Rafah in southern Gaza, where Israeli forces recently launched an incursion. The IDF said a number of projectiles were intercepted.
Hamas terrorists in Gaza fired 8 rockets at central Israel from Rafah, sending millions of Israelis to bomb shelters. Hamas launched these rockets from near 2 mosques in Rafah. Hamas has been attacking Israel from Rafah, and Hamas has been holding our hostages in Rafah, which is why we have been conducting a precise operation in Rafah.
Hamas's military wing claimed the attack. The Al-Qassam brigade said the rockets were launched in response to Zionist massacres against civilians. Hamas's attack came days after the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to put an end to its military operation in Rafah.
The court considered that, in conformity with its obligations under the Genocide Convention, Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part.
But Israel has defied the ICJ's order and continues with its ground operations in Rafah, where it believes that Hamas's top leaders continue to be holed up. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been taking shelter in Rafah since the war began in 2023. But more than 800,000 of them have been forced to flee Rafah since Israel launched the current offensive on the 7th of May. Within hours of Hamas's missile attack, Israel retaliated by striking a center for displaced people in Rafah, killing at least 35 of them and leaving dozens injured. Gaza authorities called it a horrific massacre, but Israel's army said its aircraft struck a Hamas compound in Rafah, killing 2 senior officials of the militant group. Israel said it was aware of reports indicating that as a result of the strike and fire that was ignited, several civilians in the area were harmed. The incident is under review. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant met his troops in Rafah and insisted that their goals of eliminating Hamas has become clearer in Rafah. But the fact of the matter is that so far, Israel has failed to substantially impede the movement of Hamas fighters. In fact, Hamas has managed to regroup in other parts of Gaza, which IDF had completely destroyed in the first leg of its offensive. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu insists that he must take over Rafah in order to eliminate Hamas's last remaining battalions and achieve the goal of total victory over the militants. But he is facing growing pressure from the Israeli public to make a deal with Hamas to free the remaining hostages. International pressure is also growing as the war leaves Israel increasingly isolated on the world stage.